Hello and welcome. You're watching Supernatural Lifeline Revelations. I'm your host, Taryn Tarver, and we are here today with none other than Dr. Eddie Connor Jr. I am so excited about this interview. We were able to talk to him about his latest book, A Mirror I Can't Breathe, that's just now being released, that you can find in stores, everywhere. You can look it out. Definitely you want to visit his website, but I wanted to bring him back so that we could talk about 2020 vision. Now, I would do a terrible injustice to just bring a delivery about this book because he literally just did a summit and I saw the vision unfold. This summit was supposed to be something that was going to be on site. He was going to have all these 20 speakers. It was going to be dynamic. And because of COVID-19, he had to do it virtually. So I want us to talk about this book, this 2020 vision, and I want you to introduce it. Thank you, Dr. Connor. We're glad to have you.
It's an amazing honor to be able to come on and share with you quintessential queen who really transforms people's lives supernaturally to make some natural implications from local to global. You do it all. You are the lifeline for so many people, and so what an honor it is to be here in LA with you and share.
How do you like LA?
I love LA. You know, I love, we got better weather than Detroit, but...
What's the first thing you noticed when you got off the plane?
First thing I noticed when I got off the plane, the palm trees.
Everyone says that.
The palm trees, without a doubt.
What is it? I guess I've been here too long to appreciate them. So why does everybody love the palm trees here?
Because we can't grow them in Detroit. We can't grow them in Detroit. My heart is in Detroit. My feet are here. But
right.
we can't grow them in Detroit. But, you know, there's some things in Detroit y'all can't get here. So.
Well, you do have a point there, for sure. The history is really rich there.
Yeah,
you know, I think that your book, when you wrote it, you didn't even know what impact it was going to be. Because 2020, about seeing clearly and through blurred lines and being able to see the truth about where we're at and where we're going. And I feel like America is like slapped at, it's like in the middle of what you were trying to accomplish with this book. I feel like people have to see themselves right now. They have lots of realities and it's time for transformation. What do you think? How do you see your book fitting in 2020 when you first had the vision and now seeing where we are in the middle of 2020?
Yeah, you know, I'll hold it up so you can get a real good look and even a real good grip. You know, 2020 vision is written out of the whole aspect of how to see beyond what you see and transform your reality. Dr. Miles Monroe said vision is purpose in pictures. When you even think about the whole aspect of having sight but no vision means you're still blind. And so vision is faith. Vision is revelation. Dr. King said faith is taking the first step even when you can't see the whole staircase. And so I think what is needed and necessary right now, so many people giving up on their 2020 vision, the same vision they had on December 31st, 2019, they don't have it anymore. You know, 2019 is not coming back. 2021 is not here yet. What will you do now? And I think even now, the critical time and the situation that we're in, vision is not needed and necessary when life is comfortable. It's needed when life is most uncomfortable. Wow. The most dangerous place that you can be is not when you're walking on water, is when you're staying in the boat. And so now I think is the time to begin to spear ahead with that vision, even when it's uncomfortable, because it's so necessary and it's so needed, and somebody's depending on you to be who you are so they can become who they're supposed to be.
I think that you are literally the example of your book because you had a vision to have this Vision Summit, this 2020 Vision Summit in Detroit. You called your speakers, you have everybody together, Corbett hits. And you literally, either it was in you, the vision was in you, and it was going to go forth, or you were going to let it fall. And you had a choice to do that. Right. And you totally transformed. You found a new way, a new method, a new path to still get your point across, to have hundreds of people be able to tune in and see exactly what you had envisioned. And it was still just as impactful.
Absolutely.
That is what I think is really important. Strength is not really strength unless it's tested. Yeah. It has to be tested to see what's in you. And you don't know what's in you until you're in the test. And this is a time I think a lot of testing is going on. And someone like myself, I felt like the Lord really helped me because I already had been training in some of the online stuff. I really was diving deep into the Zooms and, you know, online pay and different things. My business was in a position where a lot of people was not. Their business were not. So now we had to alter a lot of things in our life. But I saw families come together. I saw people having to deal with their children, because now your children are at home. You can't just send them off to school.
Right.
I saw people have to see if their business was what they thought it was, or how about that job that you've invested 20 and 30 years that you cannot even go to and may not ever be able to go to now. Things have been flipped upside down, and literally people are losing sight of the vision. And if the vision is truly birthed from the heart, do you feel like it will still take on what it's supposed to, like yours did, or will they go another route, or will they just quit altogether? Because you're seeing those three different things happen with a lot of different people.
Without a doubt. And, you know, even the whole aspect of supernatural, it speaks to the whole aspect of allowing God's super to really overtake your natural. Supernatural vision, supernatural impartation is what it takes. You know, Bible says now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Can I see it before I see it? And when I see it before I see it, I can always seize it. And so being able to see beyond this specific situation and the circumstance and still have that level of expectations, what it's going to be. And I think in this day, in this time, this season, we're expecting, you know, so many people saying, I can't wait for life to return back to normal. No, normal is not behind us. Normal is ahead of us. And so how are we crafting and creating that new normal? How are we thinking critical and being very, very creative in the situation that we are in right now? Because if you don't evolve, you won't be involved. And that's where
Literally, you'll be left behind.
Yeah.
Tons of people used to call preachers that were online ministering, oh, you don't have a real church. You're not a real preacher.
Right.
You know, you're just an online preacher. That's not real. Now they're trying to figure out how to be an online preacher. Now they've lost their congregations. And literally, they have to realize, what was your foundation built on? Because if the Lord gave me this vision, no matter what comes, what obstacles come, you're going to be able to find provision in the Lord. If it's His will, it's His bill. If He brought you to it, He's going to see you through it. And so we have to begin to trust and faithfully rely on God. I looked up the Greek word for believe, and it means to adhere to, trust in, and rely on. Am I really adhering to the Lord at this time? Am I faithfully trusting in God at this time? And am I totally relying on Him to what? To take this vision that He gave me. Is it your vision or His vision? Because He's going to fund His vision. It's going to come to pass. Even though we may have obstacles, what God said, He's definitely going to do. And it's really a trying of your faith.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a testing of your heart. And it's a seeing where you're at. I literally have been truly blessed during this time. And a lot of people don't understand that. They're like, how? Well, there was tons of scriptures that talk about in a sun-scorched land, you shall be blessed. He will bless you in the midst. When there's famine, you will have plenty, He says.
Wow.
And if people hold to the word, Lord, you said this, and you believe, and you're listening with your spiritual ears, and you're looking with the sight of your spiritual eyes, you can still see in the spirit that everything is already all right. Not it's going to be all right, it's already all right. You got laid off, but it's all right.
Yeah.
Your kids are home, but now you get to really work with your kids and see where you're at. Your family's coming back together. That husband and wife, do we really know each other? Your sight. You were at work all the time. You were so busy at these places that we're putting in this time. But do you really know each other? I feel like this is a time where it's like a reality check. It's a reset button. And it's time to get back into who you really are and see yourself. I found that most people did what? They cleaned out things in their homes. If you didn't clean your home out and didn't go through all those drawers, something is really wrong with you. And you got rid of all those old couches or whatever. I saw people cleaning some things out. So in order to have vision, how important is it for you to literally begin to do a cleansing process?
You know, the cure for COVID-19, I think, is in Luke chapter 4, verse 19. Jesus said this is the acceptable year of the Lord. He's recalling the past and speaking to the future. I came to heal the brokenhearted, deliverance of captives, covering the sight of the blind. It goes on and on and on.
Yes.
And so despite what we are experiencing this year, Scripture says it's still acceptable.
Joy where there's been mourning, beauty where there's been ashes.
Absolutely.
The destruction of many generations He's going to restore. Double for your trouble.
Absolutely.
All of those things, yeah.
Absolutely. In the midst of what is unacceptable in regards to the COVID cases and people, especially look like you and I, at disproportionate rates and furloughs and finances, faith and finances in many cases don't seem to be eye to eye. Do you think about, even as you're talking about turning the tide and turning the page, you were at the helm of online ministry for so many people as a pioneer. And I think now as you see Acts chapter 20, verse 20 in 2020,
Exactly.
and Paul said, I've left nothing that was profitable for you. I did not withhold it, but I gave you sound teaching and from house to house.
Wow.
And isn't it interesting? We're now stuck in the house. But I think it recalls 2 Kings chapter 4. A widow woman is in her house. She has to literally shut the door and pour.
Yes.
And so I think it calls to real clarity now that we have to begin as we're in our house, as we're quarantined, as we're under spiritual house arrest, so to speak. We got to begin to shut the door and pour back into the vision, pour back into the opportunity, pour back into that book of where it is. And what I love, in verse 1, she's crying, but in verse 7, she's rejoicing.
Absolutely.
In verse 1, she's owing, but in verse 7, she's owning. And I think this is the time to begin to make that transition. And I'll say this thing as well, prophetess, is even with 2020 in Hebrew. I know you quoted Greek. Let me go Hebrew.
All right, go Hebrew on me. We can go Aramaic, Hebrew. Go ahead, Dr. Connor.
2020 in Hebrew is the year of the mouth. And I think it's rather interesting as we have to go through life the last 5-6 months with a mask over our mouth. We wear a mask, but we don't have a muzzle. And so for our vision to come to fruition, for our vision to have, as you said, provision, we got to begin to speak life to our vision.
Absolutely.
We got to begin to speak life to our vision. Death and life is in the power of the tongue. Your words create your world. What you speak into the atmosphere is going to appear. And so we've got to speak to the situation and watch the manifestation of it take place.
I completely agree with you. This morning I was doing our September challenge we do every year. It's our 14th annual. And I was talking about some of the things you're talking about right now. But I told them, I said, see, some of you want everything in your hand. I want all the money so I can go distribute and make this thing happen. I said, that's not the way God works. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. Hope is always in the future. So now, what are we doing? I said, he told Abraham in Genesis 12th chapter, he says, go to a place I will show you. He didn't say where that place was. But Abraham, by faith, got up and went, and then God gave him as he went. And I'm noticing that people are beginning to see that as you begin to plant, then it begins to sprout. You do something first, and then you will see something else happen. God is waiting for you to make the move in a faith stand. Nobody is sitting there going to just hand you everything right now. You have to do the labor by believing. And if you believe, your corresponding actions should follow. Your feet should be doing and moving towards those things. Write the vision. Make it plain. Post it up. Let everybody in the house see it. Speak it into existence, like you said. But start your planning process. If you have this time and you have a little extra time, you should be pouring into what is your move? How am I going to spring out of this? So my first conference I ever did, I had a dream. God told me about it, and it was in 2003 for Women of Noble Character. And I had a dream, and I just said to my friends, let's do this. We had a round table meeting. She said, I work at the hotel. I said, how much can you get it for? I think I can talk them into $100. Done. There was a hotel. I can do the graphics. Done. Okay, perfect. I began to go through each friend, and then I was a pharmaceutical rep, and we had all these credits, because, you have to spend a lot of money on food, where I was able to get it catered. We had 200 people show up, all these different things, but it started not on the day that it was manifested. It manifested in my mind. I already saw it. We used the MO of God. So in order to see in the spirit, you have to close your eyes.
Wow. That's good.
These natural eyes. The pineal gland that's behind the eyes is where your spiritual eyes begin to open. And the Bible tells us in Ephesians, it says, open the eyes of my heart that I may know. Then that way you are able to know. So he birthed it in my spirit. I said yes, and when I said yes, I knew it was going to manifest. I didn't know where all the money was coming from, but favor followed me, and God opened those doors. And I think people want all the money, they want all the stuff, and today I told them, I said, do you know not one conference did I have all the money when I started? Wow. Do you know that I stepped out on faith? I would purchase hundreds of items believing the people would come. I would use my rent money at the time. And I said, before it got to the place it is now, I stepped out on faith believing God was going to send him, because he's not going to say it and not do it. Shall he say it and not do it?
Right.
He's going to say it and he's going to do it, and he's going to bring it to pass. So we have to see with the eyes of our heart and know if God birthed it in you, it's going to come to pass. And people were shocked. Like, what do you mean you didn't have the money? I said, I didn't know where it's coming from. I did not know where it was coming from. I would just say, okay, God, this is what I'm bringing, this is what I'm going to do. And he would just make it happen. He would send the provision. He would send the discounts, and he would send different things. He would send the hotels. He would send the people. I would say, I would love to have this speaker, and the speaker would call me and say, I'm going to be in California on that very day. just because your feet moved, God can make the miracle then begin to happen. But I think they don't believe in miracles right now. God already has it worked out for you.
Oh, yeah.
And so when I hear you talk, you bring inspiration, edification, exhortation, and even correction to where people can't see properly in a way where they're able to move forward. When people feel stuck right now, what word would you have for them? And woe is me stayed. Oh, it's not working out. This is all the problems and da-da-da-da-da. What do you say when you hear that?
Well, I think one thing that you have to do is you can't let your situation dictate to you. You've got to dictate to your situation. When you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at change. And so I think once we get comfortable with being uncomfortable and get uncomfortable with being comfortable, that's when we begin to shake some things up and shifting begins to take place. And so God has to literally shake us up so that he can really put us in the place that needs our space and our change. And so, in the midst of problems, you ought to begin to change your mindset to see the problem as a business. What can I create? Necessity is the mother of invention. And so
which is going on a lot right now because people
totally
cannot rely on their jobs, a lot of unemployment, like you said. So now people are going back to finding a way to make it happen. They're going back to, what do I have in my house? I have nothing in my house except a little oil and a little, but that little, he said, pay your debt and live off the rest. God blessed it and it multiplied. You have everything you need. The gifts will make room for you. God's word doesn't change.
Not at all.
It's so amazing because I watched you inspire so many at the 2020 Vision Summit. Thank you very much for hosting that. It's like, it would have been amazing to see it in person, but I felt like it was so impactful. I couldn't even believe you got 20 speakers in what, 4 or 5 hours? 5 hours? 4 hours.
Right, with over a 2-day span.
Well, the first day.
And don't be shy about you being one of them, because you were surely our empowerment speaker.
I jumped in on the tail end. You threw me in there a little bit, but I loved it. It was very amazing because you addressed, I think, every issue for 2020 that should be addressed. Where's the church going? What do we do as a people? How do we handle the injustice? Where are we with our relationship with God? Where are we with our relationship with our families? You were talking about all the valuable topics that need to be addressed during this time. And the speakers you brought on were so dynamic. So good. Now tell me, how did you get the vision for that?
The vision was really birthed out of this book, but also even previous years. A lot of times we're afraid to step out and do something different. We get stuck in our norm. And I never felt comfortable just by procrastinating on the vision. I knew I had to do this. I didn't realize that I'd be doing it in one of the most turbulent years in American history since 1968. Wow. And so when I thought that I wanted to give up, I had my building booked, I had all my speakers aligned and things of that nature. And then COVID hit. And now your back is against the wall.
Refocus?
Had to refocus, had to fine tune it. And rather than put it on pause or postpone, I said, we're just going to do this differently. We're going to do it on Zoom because people need to zoom in on their vision.
Hey, I like that.
And when life becomes so blurry, you had to fine tune your focus.
Absolutely.
Not sight, but insight.
Insight.
Yeah.
Wow. I love the inspiration. I love the fact that you're helping people to see.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of questions that were on your summit. People were scared. And they were unsure. And they were like, how do you do this? And it was really great that the answers were made available. No one was trying to get off, too. It was like everybody was tuned in. It was really amazing. This book, I feel like, was prophetic.
Wow.
Because when I was reading the back of your book, and it was talking about, how do I see clearly when life becomes blurry? And life became blurry for many.
Became blurry. I was literally writing what I would be living through. And
that's what I was saying. Like, it's a prophetic book. Wow. And to think that God actually gave you like an answer. That's amazing. Literally. You talked about how to manifest your purpose, forsake the familiar. And you're forsaking the familiar, which you're comfortable with. You're at home, shut up in your house. Like you said, no, you can't go to the building. People have $1 million buildings that left and right, for lease, for sale, closed, gone. Amazing 4-star restaurants shut forever right now. I have never seen anything like it. I was in a town, Marina Del Rey, and it's a beach area. It's usually a nice little place to go and hang out. Nothing is open. I was like, this cannot be happening. Yeah. So now what?
You know, I think what we're seeing is just what you said. It's, sanctuaries have become studios. We've gone from focusing on membership to now digital discipleship. We're not counting footprints anymore. Now we're counting fingerprints and fingertips. And so I think right now in this time of innovation, I think the church has got to be at the helm of it. The church has got to be in a place to where we are forward ever, backward never. And when you think about even the context of Jesus' ministry, 92% of Jesus' ministry was outside of the four walls of the church. We do the inverse. A pastor's most important thing right now is his digital department, but also his food pantry. I should be prognosticating the gospel. Greater works than these shall ye do. Don't you think Jesus was thinking virtual too?
Absolutely.
And so we're now in this space, in this place, because oftentimes the church culture is 15 to 20 years behind the culture of the world in regard to forward thinking, technology, innovation. Every pastor has to be on Facebook, got to be on Instagram, got to be on Twitter, all the places and the things that were deemed to be demonic.
And that's what I love, because I remember I was one of those people that are like, what are you doing? She's not a real preacher. This girl told me one time, you don't even have a building. And I'm like looking now like, while you're sitting at home. And what was so awesome is I started 2 years ago on Zoom, which I love, because tell you the truth, if this hadn't happened, you and I got to do this marriage summit that was phenomenal. Changed lives forever.
That's your vision right there. It's a vision.
It was, I didn't even know, but what happened is COVID created opportunities, and I said, well, I thought, it's going to be just a month. So I started booking all of these self-help things, seminars, how to do makeup, and I got a celebrity artist to come on, how to start your own label or record label, and singers. I got some singers to come on and some people who were in the industry. How you could start your own childcare, how to run a business, how to set up your business properly, we went through all these things that we were doing, and they were talking to the men. Thank you for coming on several times. And we began to have men issues, and everything is coming to the surface. And in the midst of this, I would have never done those things. I would have just carried on like my norm, what was working for me. And those opportunities have given people vision and provision, and it showed them a direction they could not see. And it brought impartation to people, and we did it all virally. Now, I love the fact, too, that like a lot of people were cursing the fact that, online and Facebook, and you're on YouTube and all these different things, and now they're trying to figure it out, but they never set up their Cash App, their Venmo, their Zelle, their PayPal, and so they're trying to figure out how to do these things now, and people in the meantime weren't waiting. No. They were like, we need a service now, we need something now. And so what's happened, you've seen a changing, a shifting of hands and responsibilities. Like, I always went to, my same nail lady. And I had to go find somebody, It went back to coming to the homes, and people began to run businesses from their homes, and now they're doing things online they would never do. And I think that it really brought the vision clear, that you had the provision inside you and the vision was in you. You were looking for it in your job. You were looking for it on the outside. You were looking for it somewhere else, but it was within you the whole time, and God already had a provision. I think you're a perfect example of that with the summit. You just refocused, shifted, and I got to help my pastor. God is always going to help that man of God. He's so awesome, Prophet Lovi. Literally, I asked him, could he speak on my prophetic class, right? So he speaks on my prophetic class, and then he says, I'm going to teach you guys tomorrow, come back. We were supposed to have one on Sunday. Wow. There was over 100 people that showed up. They brought extras just so that he could talk to them. But he came on Zoom for the first time. 2 weeks later, no more church. He began to do Zoom meetings as well. But we were able to open up that door there and teach and help someone else. A lot of people didn't know how complicated it could be, and so I've helped tons of people. So it's one of those things like you can find help in anything. I could help people do in their Zoom setup. That could be a new business. I can help people set up their Cash App and how to get these things open. Somebody's that is their business. Wherever there's a need, find the way to feel the need for the time. You know how many people have mask businesses now? They used to be making clothes, now they're making masks. They were selling T-shirts, now they're doing masks. So you have to find out what is the need and just fill the need.
Absolutely.
You will always have money for whatever you need as long as you are actually helping people and then you're filling a need that's going to be for the time. So what do you see the rest of 2020 looking like? You mentioned something huge today. You said it's sunny here. I wonder how restaurants are going to make it when it changes towards winter. And it made me stop and say, wow, like I live in LA. This weather's going to be here, and it's going to be no problem for me. But where you live, it's cold. What is that going to look like for people? What do you see and envision for them when the weather changes?
Well, I think times are now cloudy and murky, and I think is going to be a forward-thinking aspect of, Uber Eats, a lot of dining in, even clothier companies for online purchasing of clothes said most people are just buying T-shirts because we're not getting dressed from the bottom up, only the top up. The bottom down, only the top up. So I think even right now is going to be a new day and a new wave of how do we do things differently. Movie theaters are now shut down. Streaming is bigger than ever before. Now I can attend 10 services on a Sunday streaming from the comfort of my home. I can literally praise in pancakes. While making pancakes, I can praise the Holy Ghost in the kitchen. So I think now is that day in this time in the situation of how do I think differently, how do I move in a different dynamic, and those who are going to be able to shift with the times are going to be there. And when we see a third of churches, according to the Washington Post, that are slated to close due to COVID-19. The church is closed, but the building is still open. We're not the building, we're the body. And so for the body to be in a manner where the members are coming together and thinking differently in this digital space and place is how we're going to move forward. And I think great millennial minds like yourself are literally going to help shift the trajectory of where our world is.
Wow. This is definitely going to be very interesting because God's always got a plan.
Always.
So being a former teacher, kids sitting in front of a monitor to learn.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I mean, I'm a parent, and it's really difficult. Yeah. The children, they can't hold their attention. They're missing a lot. They're trying and doing their best. How do you think the educational system is going to transform because of what's going on with COVID?
Well, the education system has always been archaic, especially if you think about this generation, you think about the century of what it is that we're living in. It's been operating in many cases like a one-room schoolhouse. Even you think about real PPE is not personal protective equipment. It's per pupil expenditure. Why should a kid who may not look like me, who lives 30 minutes north, get a better education and more money for their school than the kid from the hood, right? And so now the playing field in many cases is being leveled.
Oh, I like how you said that.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
The high places are becoming brought down.
I like that.
Low places are being brought up.
I like this level thing. Things are pretty fair now.
Absolutely.
Can you just tell quickly in 10 seconds how they can reach you and get connected?
The revolution not only be televised, it'll be digitized. And I want you to go ahead and connect with me, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Eddie Connor Jr., but also online, eddieconnor.com. I've got some incredible books out there, especially 2020 Vision, and of course, A Mayor I Can't Breathe, the red, white, blue, black lives and unmasking race in America. Go ahead, pick not just one of them up, go ahead, pick both of them up, and it's going to take your life up to the next level. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being a guest. We are so glad to have you. We appreciate you. And thank you for tuning in. I'm Prophetess TNT, Taryn Nicole Tarver, throwing out this lifeline. Remember to share, tag, and invite because your timeline can be somebody else's lifeline. Have a good day.